we're finally here in the section where we will be using the command line interface to create stacks. We created stacks using the console in the earlier video. Now in this video, we will be using the command line interface. And on my terminal window here, if I'm in a folder where I have my template, right? I have my template. So if I cat into I have my template in this folder. So what this will help me to do is when I say the path name, when I create the stack, I can just say the file name instead of giving it the absolute path. Now, to start creating our first stack, let's use the command AWS Cloudformation create stack -- stack name. I'm going to say my test stack 2 and -- template body. Now in the file I will say, so if I go back a little bit, this was the name of my file that I showed you. So copy this and file, paste, and that is it. And we get a stack ID returned to us, and it's simple as that. We don't have to go and click on the console like so many times, press on next, and this is super easy compared to the console way. So it's this simple to create a stack. You have a template with you. All you say is create stack, give a stack name, template body, and you're done. So, and if we want to verify this, let's just go to our EC2. And I have an EC2 instance that's running and initializing. And if I also go and check on my Cloudformation, my stack 2 create complete, right? So this is one way to check your stack. The other way to check on your stack is say AWS Cloudformation describe stacks, right? In this way, you can just use the command line interface to describe the stacks, and if you like, output text right here, or even output JSON, a table. So I like it this way, in a nice view. Creation time, description, stack name, and the description you see right here. Deploy a simple Amazon Linux. This is in the template file right here, description. So this is how you get the description right there. All right, so that's how we create a stack with the command line interface, which is super simple to do. Now we want to do a little bit more things here. The first thing I want to do is, like we talked about before, the parameters section, right? This is here because by using the parameters, we can make the template reusable. Right now, if you see, I have few of the things hard-coded, like the subnet ID. I have it hard-coded here, right? So I have my my AMI hard-coded. Now we can work on making this template reusable by kind of slowly using parameters instead of hard-coded values. And to do that, I have another file on my folder, and if I cat on EC2 subnets, then if you see over here in the subnet ID, instead of having a hard-coded value, I have a ref a ref command, which is saying reference the subnet ID section. Right now, subnet ID is right here in the parameter section. Right now, subnet ID has a type of string. I don't have a default value in subnet ID, and I want whoever is creating the stack to give a value. So let's say before, when I created a stack, I didn't have control on which subnet or which VPC to create my stack on. Then now I can specify the exact subnet I want this stack to be created on, so that I can I can create the stack wherever I want. Now in this way you can use a lot more parameters. You could use a parameter in place of image ID. Right now I have this hard-coded instance type. I have this hard-coded, but I just wanted to give you an idea on one example, which is a subnet ID. And before I deploy this stack, I want to find out what subnets that I have available. And to do that, we'll just say AWS EC2 describe dash subnets. Now I don't like this way of output, so I'm going to say output text. There we go. So nice view of all the subnets that we have. So I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subnets right now. And what if I wanted to so let's go back to our EC2 instance that we created earlier. And if I click on the instance, the subnet ID is A9BAE, right? A9BAE, and that is right here. What if I want this stack to be created in exactly the subnet that I specify? So to do that, what I will do is use the parameters. And I'll say AWS Cloudformation create stack, just like before, stack name. And I'm going to say my stack 3 this time, and template dash body of file, and the file name is ec2 subnets.txt. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to put the file name, and now I need the parameters. So to do that, I just say dash dash parameters. And if you remember, we need the parameters because we don't have the default value on subnet. So I have to say something on for the subnet. Otherwise, let's just try it without the parameters. So it says parameters subnet ID must have values. So for that reason, I need to use parameters here. So dash dash parameters. And if you remember, my parameters were where's my parameters? Right here, subnet ID. Right now, key name has a default value, so I don't have to worry about this. But subnet ID, there's no default value. So by combining this information, I'm going to say parameters, and I want the parameter key equals subnet ID, right? Because we have subnet ID on our template, and comma parameter value equals, and this is where we put the actual subnet that we want to use, right? So why don't we use this subnet? So if I come down and put the subnet, and there we go, I have a stack ID returned to me. So this time I want to use command line interface to check on my EC2 instances, and I'm going to say AWS EC2 describe instances let's try this. So let's go back and check first. So services EC2 one running instance. We gotta go and check on the Cloudformation template. Oops, so this time a rollback is complete. So let's see why this happened. Oh, I see. So security group, this, right? The security group we created. Now if I come and look at the security group portion, then I say VPC, the security group that I'm creating is on VPC 7C5, right? 7C5. Now for that reason, I can only use subnets on that VPC 7C5. So what I will have to do, so as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, if something goes wrong during creation of the template, then a rollback happens and everything is deleted. So none of my resources will stick. Everything is deleted. So very important part of understanding Cloudformation. So I'm going to quickly go over to my VPC. And my subnets 7C5, right? So if you remember, this one was the VPC that I had my EC2 that's running on, and by looking at the error, then I either have to change the VPC of my security group if I want to put my EC2 instance in this subnet that I just specified, which is 233D, right? 233D. And if I go back, then the subnet 233D is in VPC 68CD right here. So I have two ways to fix this problem. One way is to change the VPC ID on my security group resource section, or I can use this subnet 6E5 to do that. So why don't we just change the VPC and try to deploy our instance in the subnet that we wanted earlier. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll list my files, and this is the file that we need to change. So vim ec2 enter, and I'm gonna come all the way down to the security group portion of the resource section. So right here I have my VPC ID and says, you know, this is the VPC I want this group to be created on. So I'm gonna change the VPC ID to this. Now 68C. Now let's try what happens when we create that stack. Now we need to change the name of the stack, because if we do this, then we get an error because that stack already exists, right? So even though the stack was rolled back and all the resources were deleted, the stack still is there. We need to delete the stack. So I'm gonna call this my stack 4. We get a return, and now we have to wait on for the update. And now we can see that our instance is now creating. So we fixed the problem, right? We changed the VPC ID, and those are the things that we need to be mindful of when creating stacks. You know, we can't create a subnet if the security group is in a different VPC, that kind of stuff. So if I go to my Cloudformation section, then my stack 4 is completed, right? Everything is good this time. So we made a progress. Now, and this is how you use the parameters. You know, we used parameters. Now, one last time, if I wanted to use, I used subnet 233D, right? 233D, right here. And that was in, right here. So that was in this VPC, right? VPC 68D. What if I want to use this subnet this time? Let's try to make one more stack and we'll do something new. So instead of using this subnet, I want to use this subnet, and obviously I need to change the name of the stack from stack 4 to stack 5 or something. All right, so while that is in progress, I want to use this command, AWS Cloudformation, describe stacks, and output table, right? So I can see all the stacks that I have. This is in progress, right? Create in progress. I can check on that, not with the console, but from right here. And I can see all the parameters. The parameters I used were key name of CloudForm key, which was default, and subnet in this way. And if I do it one more time, then maybe this will be completed by now. Still in progress. Oh, right here. So create complete this time, stack status. So there was no rollback, right? There was no rollback, and if I go to my EC2 console, then now I have, this new instance on subnet that we just specified on. We can check on that right here, 68CD, and our right 644. Oh, right here, subnet ID 64401 and subnet ID 6441 right here. Oops. So that's how we use parameters. Now in the next video we're going to update our stack, right? In the next video we'll update our stack. I'll see you in the next video.